All praises, man. It's gonna be a good Sabbath. Be a great Sabbath. But first and foremost, we want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Mashiach, Yahushua. We are going over part 2, or the latter chapter of Sirach 47. If you missed part 1, you can check it out. Which pages did we post it to? The same page that we posted to on this one?
I don't even remember, but it should be on like 3 different pages.
All right. Well, Lord willing, part 1 is on one of these pages. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's go to Sirach chapter 47. And just to recap, 47 verses 1 through 12 was talking about King David. And we went into how he destroyed Goliath and how he had took reproach from Israel and how David, kind of became a mighty man in Israel and got his name out there. Basically, he got his name out there at a very young age, and he was known as a man of war. Now, let's get into his son, Solomon. Sirach chapter 47 in verse 13. It says, Solomon reigned in a peaceable time and was honored, for God made all quiet round about him, that he might build an house in his name and prepare his sanctuary forever. All right. Solomon's name is it sounds like Solomon's name in the Hebrew kind of sounds like Shalom. I think it's like Shalom or something like that. It sounds similar to Shalom because his name means peace. Can you get that in a blue letter for me? Solomon's name?
Yes, sir.
And when we go into a lot of people's names in the Bible, they have meanings. A lot of people's names have meaning. And Solomon's name means peace or peaceable one because he dwelt in a time of peace. Let's see. When you got it, you can just read it out.
Gone. Solomon means peace. That's all they say. What else do we need?
Oh, God. I thought I was going to add something extra, but yeah, it literally just means peace. All right. And the scripture says, in verse 13, it says, Solomon reigned in peaceful time, was honored, for God made all quiet round about him, that he might build an house in his name and prepare his sanctuary forever. So Solomon was the guy who had to build the temple. David couldn't build the temple because he had too much blood on his hands. It's like we went over. He was a man of war. He had too much blood on his hands. So God had to make everything quiet around Solomon. That way he could build the temple. Just to grab the verse. 1 Kings 3 and
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna keep reading this Sirach 47 and then I'm gonna go back to this 1 Kings.
Okay.
If you got anything, you can jump in, of course.
Right.
Verse 14, it says, how wise, Sirach 47 and 14, how wise was thou in thy youth, and as a flood filled with understanding. Thy soul covered the whole earth, and thou filledest it with dark parables. Thy name went far unto the islands, and for thy peace thou wast beloved. It says, the countries marveled at thee for thy songs, proverbs, and parables, and interpretations. So, going back to verse 14, it says, how wise wast thou in thy youth, and as a flood filled with understanding. Solomon was filled with understanding at a young age. How was he filled with understanding? Let's go look at the account. Now let's go to 1 Kings chapter 3, verse, let's see. Let's start at verse 4. Let's start at 4. It says, and the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. So the king now is King Solomon. Verse 5. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. So it ain't no telling how the Lord appeared to Solomon in his dream. Just know and understand that the Lord appeared to Solomon in his dream, and he told Solomon, ask whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. Ask whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. A lot of men and women aren't prepared for God to ask them this question. God come down, may ask you this question, you'll trick it off. Oh damn, I want a Bugatti. you know, I kind of been thinking about this car all year. I've been, I really want this car. Or you may say, shit, give me the new Patek. I want this watch. I want to go to the NBA. That's not the right spirit to have. A lot of men, that's why God isn't asking us these kind of questions. Everybody want to know why God ain't dealing with us on that certain level is because you not on that certain level. You ain't ready for God to come down and ask, what do you want? And I'll give it to you. Because you'll trick it off. Point blank and period. But verse 6, and Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he hath walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or to come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. So Solomon is kind of talking to the Lord, telling him all the great things that he did for his father, all the kindness that he showed, and how he has set me. I'm speaking in Solomon's perspective. You had set me up to be king, and I'm yet a little child. I don't have correct understanding. I don't know how to go in or to come out. I don't know how to judge between this matter and that matter. I'm a child. I'm not ready to be a king yet. But even still, you set me up as king. So let's see what Solomon asked for. I'm gonna start at verse 8 again. It says, and thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, thy so great a people? So Solomon asked for discernment that he may judge God's people. Because when you're dealing with Israel, anything can come up. Anything can come up. Even now, a lot of brothers in the truth that's teachers, they may get a lot of questions. And they get put in that judgment seat. Well, damn, brother, okay. Well, the doctor said to do this. What do you think? Now you kind of, well, shit, the law really don't go into deep on that. Okay, well, well, brother, I'm just have to give you this call through wisdom. That's how we make judgment calls, through wisdom. And that's why the scriptures say Solomon was filled with wisdom, that he may be able to judge this wise and great people.
God.
Let me see. You got something?
Wow.
Can you get that account with the Solomon making that judgment between the two women, so we can get a good. Oh, it's down there. Yeah, just,
I thought it was in this chapter.
yeah, it is. Just jump to verse 16, and then I'm gonna jump back up.
All right. Verse 16 says, then came there two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it, meaning her child died like she laid on it. It says, and she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king.
All right, hold on. So you got two women. This is the account that we just read. Two women, two harlots that were living together, and one woman so happened to lay on her child, and the child suffocated and died, which is a real thing. That's a real thing. That happens. Her child suffocated and died. So she gets up, moves the dead child to the other mother, and then takes the living child for herself. The other mother wakes up, starts to give her child suck, notices it was dead, and also notices this is not my child. So they go to the king. One of them saying, no, this is my child. The other one saying, no, that's my child. This is her child. And they kind of going back and forth. What does the law say about that?
In detail, nothing.
It don't say nothing about that. It happens to say nothing about that. This is why we have wisdom to give us discernment between the matter. And we're finna see what King Solomon says with all his wisdom. We're finna see what he says. You can keep reading.
Verse 23 says, Then said the king, the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but the son is the dead, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. Bring me a sword.
Yep.
And they brought a sword before the king. Be crazy, bro.
He wild. He finna get down to business.
And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other.
This is discernment Solomon. This is the kind of discernment Solomon had. Okay, y'all obviously both want this child. Bring me a sword. I'll divide them, and you both can get the child. Simple solution. Simple solution. Keep reading.
Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son, and she said, O my lord, give her the child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it.
So Solomon actually sought out the matter. He figured it out. Okay, damn. All right. You say don't divide the child. She actually really loves her son. She loves her son enough to give her up to this woman and not see it killed. But the other woman, she's bitter. She's upset that her son is dead. So guess what? No. Let's divide the child. My son's dead. Let's kill it. Read verse 27.
Verse 27 says, The king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof.
She's the mother thereof. He figured it out. Okay, that's whose mother it is. That's the law speaks nothing about this situation. You have to find that for me in detail, like the brother said.
There, show me it.
Yeah,
I read the law.
Yeah,
I read the law, and I never seen how to deal with this kind of situation.
Yeah, like the brother said, in detail, it is not there. It's not. But Solomon had to figure. He figured it out through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that he was given. When you're a teacher in Israel, you're automatically, I hate to say it, but you're automatically put in that judgment, that judge kind of seat. You have wisdom, so people seek to you. Okay, you have wisdom. What would you do in this situation? And you got to make a judgment call. Okay, well, let's just go to the scriptures real quick. And you kind of flipping through the scriptures. This say this, the law say this add up to this. So me personally, I do this. more than likely that person is going to go with what you said. Okay, you're right. We're actually in charge of a lot of men and women's lives. When I say we, I speak as a body. Me personally, I'm not, because I'm not giving many counsels or nothing like that. I don't want y'all to even think I'm giving out counsel like that. I'm just speaking for the men that's teaching in Israel. They're responsible for a lot of men, a lot of families. And that's why the scriptures say this. This is Sirach chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, seek not to be judged, being not able to take away iniquity, lest at any time thou fear the person of the mighty, and a stumbling block in the way of thy uprightness. The main point that I wanted to get, because this is speaking on the ancient judges, but the main point I want to speak on is seek not to be a judge. Because if you make a judgment call and it's wrong, that's now somebody's livelihood. Now somebody's at risk of falling out of the truth. Now somebody's at risk of being sick, or now somebody's at risk of something. It's always a risk with the judgment call.
Hey, grab that greater condemnation.
Kind of got you. Let's see. This is James chapter 3 and verse 1. My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation.
Hey, another reason why you don't want to seek to be a judge or a ruler is because they have the greater condemnation. When you know more, you're expected to do more. You're not allowed to make as many mistakes whenever you're someone of a high stature, or you have more weight on your shoulders. Like Moses. Hey, that man slipped up. It wasn't even a big slip up, but he slipped up because we could go into this topic a lot. All I'm gonna say is this: whenever you're a damn king or a judge, you're held to a different standard. And if you're not ready to be held to that different standard, to that higher standard, you don't want to be trying to be a judge. You don't want to let the Most High God set that kind of stuff up. Because you're trying to be a judge, you're trying to be a ruler, you're trying to be a mighty man in Israel. A lot of men sought to be a mighty man in Israel, and it went south.
I got a precept for you.
Can I bring it out?
This is Luke 12 and 48. But he knew, it says, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. Here's the point. Right. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more.
Hey, more is going to be required if you're held in a greater stature. Men gonna ask you for more and more and more. So that's what it's like being a man in that kind of field, or in that kind of position, I should say. It's nothing to play with. It's not just all peaches and cream. It's not just everybody love you, but you're held to a different bar, man, and it don't ever go away. Hey, and when you slip up once, man, I think it's a precept that talk about that in Ecclesiastes. Men that is an honor. It say something like that. I feel like it's chapter 10. It's in Ecclesiastes, I think, though. Man, I'm gonna have to find it because maybe I can type it in on my phone. Men honor. Bear with me, because I think. Okay, it is 10 and 1. I just overread it. So this is Ecclesiastes 10 and 1. It said, dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savior. So dead flies, it'll cause the ointment of the apothecary. The ointment of the apothecary, in layman terms, is just medicine. So dead flies will make medicine stink. It says, to send forth a stinking savior, it says, so doth a little folly him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. So even if you got a man who's in high reputation, he's a judge, he's a priest, he's a noble, he's a prince, he's a prophet, A little bit of folly, a small slip up, a small mistake, it will ruin his reputation completely. Rather, if you got just a normal man and he makes the same mistake, no one's really going to bat an eye. But if a prince, a noble, a judge, a ruler, a priest do that, it's all it takes is one slip up. Why? Because you know more, you know better. People hold you to a different standard. You know, that's all I was saying. Salakia. I think Malachi in here too. I'm gonna pull him up. Yo, Shalom.
Shalom, Malachi.
How you feeling?
Yes, man. Blessed brother rest, man.
Let's get it in. We in Sirach. Oh no, we jumping back up to and where we was in Kings, right?
Yes, sir. Malachi, can you grab 1 Kings chapter 3 and start at verse 9 again?
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 3 and verse 9. It say, "Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?"
All right, Khan. He said that I may discern between both good and bad. And we just seen an account of how he made a powerful discernment, how he was able to seek out the good and the bad. And that's what he was asking for. He got it. He literally asked for that and he received it. But keep reading. Verse 10.
Verse 10 and read, "And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing."
Hey, Mahar, take over real quick. Somebody at my door.
Okay, Khan. It says, "In the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon asked this thing." Hey, and make me think of this precept right here. Aharon went into this, but I want to throw a precept on it if I can. A lot of our people think that they're ready for God to come ask them what they want. You know, I'll give you anything you want. You know what I'm saying? Just talk to me. Tell me what you want. A lot of people think God worked like that. A lot of people wish that God worked like that for them right now today, but you're not really able to handle that. All right, this is Job chapter 35 and 13. It says, "Surely God will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty regard it." So imagine the Most High coming to a man and he asks for something that doesn't make sense, something that doesn't really hold weight, something that doesn't profit anything, something that's just vain. And you're gonna be in a sticky situation. But let's go to verse 11.
Verse 11 read, "And God said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked for riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words."
Real quick, Solomon did. I gotta grab this real quick. It's in Sirach. It's way back here in the back. Let me see if I still got this preset.
I'm back, Salakia. But go ahead.
Okay, Con. I got two precepts, and they heavy. Solomon didn't ask for the neck of his enemies. He didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for a long life. He asked for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so he could discern judgment, so he could pronounce the right judgment according to God. That's a beautiful thing. Now, this is Sirach chapter 45 and verse 26. 45 and 26, it says, "God give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever." When it comes to being the judge and pronouncing judgment, you gotta be able to discern between. You gotta be so balanced. You cannot be wanting or lacking when it comes to being a judge. It's not easy. You gotta be well balanced. You have to be. There's a lot of things that go into judgment. I'm gonna grab a precept in Leviticus Hey, Malachi, can you grab John 7:24, Baba Kashar?
It's the book of John.
Yeah, you can pull that out first.
Salaki. This is the book of John, chapter 7 and verse 24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
It says, judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So that's going into not judging someone based off of how you think or how you feel or what a person looks like. You have to judge righteous judgment. You have to go into the law. You have to actually search out the matter to make sure you're going to pronounce the right judgment. And it's not just according to what the thing looked like. Because people can set other people up to make it look like this person did this. And if you're not being cautious, if you're not judging righteously, you're going to say, hey, look, this is what it looks like. You know, it looked like a duck. It's a duck. But if you would have did a more thorough investigation, it looked like a duck, but it don't quack like a duck. It's not swimming. It's not a duck. This must be a setup. Boom, boom. Instead of doing that, you judge off appearance, and now you made the wrong judgment. Now the Most High gonna come judge you. This is Leviticus 19 and verse 15. It says, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor. So you can't be biased. You can't respect this man because he's poor. It says, nor honor the person of the mighty. So you can't respect the person or honor him because he mighty or because he got money. It says, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So you can't be biased. It has to be balanced. You can't be biased. If you're biased, you're gonna make the wrong judgment, and then the Most High gonna come get you. That's why you don't want to be put in that position. Hey, it's more it's many more accounts that we can go into on judgment, and like you can go into Daniel.
I was actually finna grab that account in Susanna.
All right, let's get it.
Malachi, turn to History of Susanna, chapter 1, and start at verse 34. This is exactly what you kind of went over a little bit when he says nor regard the person of the mighty.
Exactly.
We finna see what's going on.
Yay! Man, where do we start?
What? Salaki.
You got it?
What verse did you want?
Start at verse 34.
Yeah, let's say, hold up. It's the book of the History of Susanna, chapter 1 and verse 34. It say, then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head.
Come on,
and she weeping looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, as we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors and sent the maids away. Then a young man, who there was came unto her and lay with her.
All right, Salakia. I started at verse 34 because I wanted to get through the chapter, but I got to give you a little bit of backstory. These two elders, before they're giving this testimony in front of the congregation, these two elders coveted Susanna, lusted after Susanna. They're giving a false witness right now, because earlier on in the chapter they laid hands on her and they said, sleep with us, or basically we're gonna say that you committed adultery against your husband.
Where's that?
Go ahead.
Verse 8, it says, and the two elders saw her going in every day and walking. so that their lust was inflamed toward her, and they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes that they might look, but that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. It says, and albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet there's not one show another his grief. So basically, what Aharon said, I'm just showing you in the scriptures, they lusted after her. It says they saw her going in every day walking. They was watching her every day. That's how much they was like lusting after her, knowing she had a husband.
Yep.
They was watching her every day diligently. Look, verse 12. And they watched diligently from day to day to see her. It says, and the one said to the other, let us go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were going out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. So basically, they're like, man, it's time for dinner. Let's get out of here. So they both split up and acted like they was going home, but they end up coming back to the same place. And after that, they had asked one another the cause. They acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together when they might find her alone. So instead of going home, they accidentally ran into each other because they both wanted to watch her for a little bit longer. And then when they seen each other, they confessed how they both was lusting after her. And then they came up with an agreement and appointed a time when they might catch her alone. Man, that's madness. Man, y'all got to read this account. If y'all ain't got nothing to do, read this whole thing later today, man, when we get off this live, because it's a good read. It's a quick read. It's only 64 verses, you know.
One chapter. I mean, it ain't bad.
And it's a good read. But man, it's like it. Where we at? Verse 30, 40? Where we at?
We at verse start at verse 37 again.
Verse 37. Then a young man who was there hid came unto her and lay with her. Then we stood in a corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leapt out.
So hold on. These are two elders, two mighty men of renown. They've been in the judgment seat before. They understand how things go. And the people are going to automatically assume they are right. Nigga, these are two elders. Why would they lie? And they talking about the mighty. We couldn't hold the man, for he was stronger than we. That lets you know that they're elders. He was stronger than us. We couldn't hold him back. And they're making up this false testament. They're bearing false witness against the righteous woman, Susanna. But we're going to see what happens. Go ahead.
It say, but having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the assembly believed them, as those that were the elders and judges of the people. So they condemned her to death.
All right, so hold on. It says the assembly, this is off. This is off right now. The assembly believed them as those they were the elders and judges of the people. They assumed, okay, nigga, these are the elders and judges. All right, nigga, she got to be put to death. You know, the law say under 2 or 3 witnesses, right? But they missing something. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it, because the law says that they have to make diligent inquisition. This is Deuteronomy 19 and 18. It says, and the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness and have testified falsely against his brother. Nobody was willing to make a diligent inquisition. They just assumed, okay, this gotta be they elders and they judges. This has to be true. Keep reading. Soldier Malachi.
So like my phone was muted.
You good. Verse 42.
Verse 42. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be. Thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel.
And
Yeah.
this is where Daniel first appeared. This is a young man coming out of nowhere with the Spirit of God on him. Keep reading.
Verse 46, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him and said, what mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth ye have condemned the daughter of Israel?
Daniel getting on their helmet.
Well, that's what the law say.
That's what the law say.
Examine the matter. That's what the law say.
He called them fools.
He coming there with the laws of God. Come on now, bro.
Hey, bro, thorough. Hey, let me read it one more time.
This young Daniel, bro. Go ahead.
He said, okay, it says, verse 48. So he standing in the midst of them said, are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, ye have condemned a daughter of Israel? Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her.
Hey, Daniel's saying, let's hop back in the court. Let's go back to court.
Yeah.
Y'all already condemned her. Y'all got stones in y'all hands. Y'all niggas is fools. Return back to the place of judgment, because they have borne false witness against her.
Yeah.
Daniel spitting through the Spirit of God. He just got the Spirit on him right now. She made a cry to the Most High God, and the Most High God answered by calling this youth, this young man. This young man, imagine this, because the scriptures say God hath called the
Let me get it.
Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse, I'm going to start at 27. But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty.
The foolish things of the world would be who? Children, young men, kids. He has chosen them to confound the wise. What is the wise in this example? 2 elders. Everybody's kind of looking at Daniel like, bro, he's just a kid. You know, they murmuring. You know, Jake, everybody knows they kind of looking at each other. This nigga's just a kid. Do he not know who he going against?
Those are elders.
Yeah. They've been speaking this truth since the beginning. Do you know who their fathers are? Their grandfather? They've been judging. They've made righteous judgments all year, all their life. And this kid is finna go against them. That's the kind of time our people be on.
Man, let me grab another preset.
Go ahead.
Baba Shah. 1 Timothy 4:12. This is how he was coming. It says, let no man despise thy youth. That's already saying what it's saying.
Right. That's already saying what it's saying.
But be thou an example of the believers in word and conversation and charity, in spirit and faith and purity. Don't let nobody despise thy youth. So just because you're young, that don't always mean that you're not qualified. You know, and that's my point right there.
Straight like that. Malachi, read, start at verse 50 and read down.
It's verse 50. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste, and the elders said unto him, come sit down among us and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, put these 2 aside far from another, and I will examine them. So when they were put asunder one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness, Now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light.
All right, so
Ah! Ah!
so Daniel
Ah,
through through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding said, let's separate them.
Yeah,
The law speaks nothing about that.
I ain't seen it.
The law speaks nothing about, okay, if you got a false witness, kind of separate them, and then kind of, do this and kind of. It don't go into detail. This is where wisdom comes in. Daniel separated these two men, and first off, he just started talking a little smack. Hey, look, nigga, the wickedness of your past is come back to haunt you, my guy. They
Bro,
come to light.
he owned his head.
He on his helmet.
This is an elder.
Daniel really quoting a verse. This is
I got it.
Go
Are
ahead.
you at 1 Samuel 24:13?
I'm at Ecclesiastes.
Okay, I'm gonna grab this after you.
All right, Ecclesiastes 12 in verse 14. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So this is what Daniel talking about. He's bringing everything. It's come to light. No matter what you do, good, bad, it's gonna come to light. Go ahead.
Hey, this is 1 Samuel chapter 24 and verse 13. It says, as saith the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceedeth from the wicked, but my hand shall not be upon thee. Hey, this is what King David said to Saul. I believe that's what's going on in 1 Samuel 24 and 13. It's been a minute. But anyways, it says, this is a proverb of the ancients. Wickedness proceeded from the wicked. So King David Daniel, young Daniel, he not even a fully grown man. It mentions him as, what does it say in verse
young youth.
Yeah, 45, it says, young youth whose name was Daniel. So you got a young man, a young boy. We can't even say this is him young. He's a lad. He's a boy. Like, come on now. He crazy. He already crazy. That's all I had. We was at verse. I missed that. Was it 50?
Got you straight. We at verse 53 now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Malachi.
Verse 53. But thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit the Lord saith, the innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay.
So Daniel kind of getting on them. They kind of having the same problem the Pharisees have.
It's like it.
You good?
You
They dealing with the same thing that the Pharisees later on dealt with. You condemn the innocent and you let the guilty go free. But what does the Lord say? What does the law say? The innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay.
Ugh.
But yet you killed them for your gain. Daniel on their helmet, he's showing them to be transgressors of the law. You know they stomach hurt right now. They stomach probably bubbling because Daniel exposing them.
Nervous.
They nervous as hell. Go ahead. Somebody said something. Okay, kind. Malachi, keep reading. You on mute up, I believe.
All right, let's say verse 54. Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them company under? Who answered, under a mastic tree.
So Daniel got to asking them, okay, y'all did say y'all was in a corner under a tree. Which tree were you under? Remember, Daniel separated them. Which tree were you under that you saw him? You know? And then he says, Salakia, which tree did you see them under? Salakia. And he said, a mastic tree. Keep reading, verse 55.
And Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now,
he crazy.
For even now the angel of God hath received the sentence of God to cut thee in two.
Bro.
So he put him aside. Yeah.
Crazy. He said, very well. Ah!
Oh man.
Hey, he said your own mouth condemn you.
Yep.
Your own mouth condemn you. Thou hast lied against thine own head. he's saying right now in this moment, the angel of God is receiving a commandment to cut you in half.
Yep.
He's sweating over there. How do he know these things? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know this? That's the spirit of God. He said the angel just got a commandment from Yahweh to cut you in half. GG's.
Bro, ain't no telling where Daniel came from. I don't even think it mentioned Daniel's parents in the Bible. This nigga just came through the spirit of God. I'm telling you.
Here.
He just here.
He was quickened.
He like Melchizedek a little bit.
He was quickened, bro.
He just popped up.
Quickened, from the belly, God knew him.
Right.
Oh man.
Go ahead. Hey, that nigga Don Mom said, you know you fucked up, right?
Hold on, I gotta read it for my. Oh.
You fucked up, right?
Oh man.
Malachi, come on.
You fucked up, right? All praises.
Verse 56, it say, so he put him aside and commanded to bring the other and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan and not of Judah. Damn.
Bro, that's how you coming? I didn't never see Aharon, you seen that before?
Bro, I ain't just catch it like that.
Bro, I ain't see Daniel call this man a seed of Canaan. We read this at least 3 or 4 times together, bro. Together. I read it on my own too, but I have never. He called him a Canaan.
He said, O thou seed of Canaan and not of Judah. Beauty have deceived thee, and lust have perverted thine heart. Yeah.
That's hot. Keep
Verse
going.
57. Thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear accompanied with you, but the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness.
Yeah.
Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them company together? Who answered, under a home tree.
Hey, stories ain't lining up.
That's why we pull out this. You know you
fucked up,
right? Look, this man said a home tree. Where does brother go? He said a mastic tree. Man, y'all stories not lining up, King.
Uh-oh.
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 Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hey, that's when the little brother in the back be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. You know, mama gonna whoop you. You know that, right? You in trouble.
Oh man, this is bad for you, bud.
Hey, look what he finna say.
Got bad news. Good news, the law of God gonna go forward. The bad news, the law of God gonna go forward. You done.
Oh man.
You done, buddy.
He said good news. Oh.
Hey Malachi, you can keep reading.
He said, then said Daniel unto him, well, thou hast also lied against thine own head. For the angel of God waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice and praised God, who saveth them that trust in him.
Yeah.
And they arose against the 2 elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth.
Daniel took 2 elders to court and won. Hey, not by his own strength, but by the strength of the Most High God, by truth. Man, let me grab a precept on truth real quick. Hey, Malachi, go to 1 Corinthians. Oh, 2 Corinthians 13 and 8. Check that out. See if it's talking about truth. It's been a minute since I pulled that, but I'm gonna grab this one about truth. Watch this, man. This is 1 Ezra chapter 4 and verse 38. It says, as for the truth, it endureth and is always strong. It liveth and conquereth forevermore. That's how strong the truth is. It's always strong. It endure forever. Go ahead, Malachi.
Con, this is the book of Second Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse 8. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth.
Hey, the scriptures say what it says. I'm gonna grab one more on truth. This is Sirach 4 and 25. It says, "In no wise speak against the truth." Never speak against the truth. Never speak against the truth. It's never gonna go well because the truth is always strong and endures forever. It's nothing you can do against the truth. You can only work for the truth. You're not strong enough to overpower the truth. It says, "In no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of thine ignorance." So in your ignorance, and you find out that you've been going against the truth, don't keep speaking against it. Be abashed by the ignorance of your mind, man. You got to actually spit the truth. That's why we call this doctrine the truth, because you can't do nothing against it. You can only do stuff for it. So, like, yeah, I yield with that though.
Malachi, keep reading.
And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day.
All right, Khan. So according to the law, say I bear false witness that Malachi murdered somebody. The punishment of murder is death. Say I'm found to be a false witness. The punishment I thought to have given him is the punishment that I would receive. So I would receive death. Just like they accused her of adultery, the punishment of adultery is death. So they were found to be false witnesses, so they had to be put to death. Mahar, go back to Sirach 47. Somebody at my door again. Hold on.
Okay, Khan. I got a quick precept. Hey, Malachi, can you grab it for me?
Damn, my phone's shutting off. I gotta throw my shit on the yeah.
All right, Khan, I'll grab this precept. Woo! I'm gonna pull it up since we got time and we were waiting on the brothers. Check this out, y'all. Beautiful precept right here. Malachi chapter 2 is hot. I'm gonna read Malachi 2 and 10, 2 and 9. I'm gonna just get the point. It says, "Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people. So the Most High God will bring you down before everybody. According as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law." Hey, these brothers was being partial in the law. The Lord will bring you down for not obeying his laws, or if you abusing the laws. And we know that the laws is good if you use it righteously. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because the law is perfect, but you can use it in the imperfect way on what it's not meant for. It should be James. Yikes. What is that? Where is that precept?
Lucky, I'm back.
Hey, Ahran.
What's up?
Can you got that the law is good if you use it righteously?
1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 8.
Okay, that felt right. I thought it was James. What's the one in James I'm thinking of? I think that's the law was not made for a righteous man, huh?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know. Shit, that might be. Hold on.
You was right about
1 Timothy.
Yeah, I got that one. All right, so this is 1 Timothy 1 and 8. It says, "But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully." Oh, okay. It's right here in the same spot.
Okay, cool. I'll praise.
So we know that the law is good if you use it lawfully. These elders was using the law not lawfully. That's off. It says, "Knowing this, that the law was not made for the righteous man, but for the lawless, disobedient, for the ungodly and sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, the purge person, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine." So we know that the law is always good if he using it in a good way, if he using it lawfully, right? Because there's no a man who's obeying the law, statutes, and commandments. They're going to naturally do the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why the law is mainly for men who are going against what is right. That's what the law is there for.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that's saying. I know that can be confusing, but that's what it's saying. The law was made to get people who are not in order in order.
Yeah.
That's why you have judgment set up. If there was no judgments, Aharon, imagine that.
Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no.
It would just be chaos because you could kill somebody and nothing happens. There's no judgment for it. You can steal from somebody and nothing happens. If there was no judgments for breaking the law, people would just continue to break the law.
Like today.
Like today.
You know, Christian church says that, you know, you're not punished anymore. You were good. We're not under that anymore. And look what's happening. You got this one chick saying, you know, she dropping it low for Jesus.
Wow.
You forgot?
I did.
She dropping it low for Jesus. And
She
she said
said
she knows she's going to be at the pearly gates. That's what she said.
She said, drop it low for Jesus.
Yeah. The little phone, and in the background.
The background, and they got a beat and they dancing and they dropping it low for Jesus. And then she continues to say, I know I'm gonna be at them pearly gates.
Yeah. That's all. That's all. Hey, where Soldier Malachi go?
I think he was having some technical difficulties.
You spell out? Okay, that's fine. So we went to those accounts to show how important what Solomon asked for, how important that was. He asked for discernment that he may judge this mighty people. And we see that discernment is needed. That discernment and that wisdom is needed. Because the first account, there's nowhere in the law where you can read about that, where you can see, okay, well, if she killed her baby and this, you know, she says it's her baby, and she says it's her baby, and you kind of get the sword. That's not in the law. Solomon had to have that discernment. And then we see where Daniel had to split up 2 elders. That's not in the law. It says make diligent inquisition. How do you do that? Through wisdom.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You do it through wisdom. You don't just wing it. It ain't, no, it's through wisdom. Okay, how can we really find out the answer? That's why it was a council. You had a council of men. It's not one damn judge. You had a count. You got the priest, you got the judges, you got the prophets. Everybody is going in tandem to figure out what is the truth, that we may remove wickedness out of Israel. That's how strong our demons are. That's how strong these enemies are. That we have to come together, have a council. A nigga may have to even call upon God. Hey, go grab the prophet. Go grab Samuel real quick, because we can't figure it out. We don't know. Samuel may come around. Hey, cast a lot. Cast a lot. Let it be God's judgment. And they, hey, get through it like that. It's many ways to go about judgment. Many ways, but it's all through wisdom. It's all through wisdom. So that was very important, that Solomon had asked for discernment, being a righteous king. You know, David kind of was just built different. He was like, hey, you thought to put your hand towards the innocent and I'm gonna reward you? Verily you are a fool. He on that kind of time. David was a bloody man.
He ascended to the heavens.
David always acted with the sword. Hey, go
It
grab
sends
my
you to
sword.
God early. That's what kind of time he was on.
He on that kind of time, brother. You holding something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. It says, ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. So this is how you do righteous judgment. You hear the small as well as the great, and you don't respect people just because.
Right.
It says, ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, And sometimes you don't want to make a certain judgment because you're afraid of how the people will react to it, or that man is threatening you. Like if you make this judgment on this man, people gonna threaten you with death, or it could be anything. That's why this is here. You shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. At the end of the day, when you're pronouncing the right judgment and it's the truth and it's honest, it's just, that judgment is from God.
Yep.
And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it to me and I will hear it. So this is what Moses said. He said, if it's a judgment that is too hard for you and you don't know how to exact the right judgment, Moses said, bring it to me and I'll handle it. So, you got cases that are small and easy. And then you got sticky situations. And if they sticky and you don't understand what to do, you don't know how to pronounce the right judgment, you take it to the higher ups.
Yep.
You take it up. You take it up to the next court. You bring it to Moses. That's what the command was. But yeah, we back in Sirach 47, Con.
We're actually back at 1 Kings, and then we're going to get back to Sirach 47. Salakia. We're going to have to move a little quicker.
Bro, we're going to have to do a part 3.
Huh?
I said, we're going to end up having to do a part 3.
Bro, for real, because you might be right, bro, because
it's not right to just rush. It's not going to do it justice, bro. It's just not.
It's not, because it's going into the split as well, and the split is definitely some
That's a
meat.
whole lesson, bro.
He said that's a whole lesson, bro.
So it is what it is at this point, bro. We're just gonna have to do a part 3. It sounds like.
Yeah,
that's for an hour.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'm back at 1 Kings 3 and 11.
Okay.
I'm gonna start at 10. It says, "In the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but thou hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment." So the speech pleased the Lord. He like, you ain't asking for women, you ain't asking for money, you ain't even asked for a longer life. You ask for discernment. You're not thinking about yourself. This is what God sees. Are you thinking about yourself, or are you thinking about the people, your family, your mashpakah? Are you thinking about your nation? That pleased the Lord. Solomon could ask anything for him. He asked for discernment that he may judge the people aright. I'm going to keep reading. Verse 12. He says, "Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee." So there's no man that's going to be like Solomon, because he was given such wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Verse 13. "And I have also given thee that which thou hast asked not, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou will walk into my and if thou will walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as thy father did walk, as thy father David did walk, then will I lengthen thy days." So the Most High God, like, hey, I gave you what you asked for, and I also given you more. I gave you more because it pleased me that much. I give you more. Mahar, do you got anything else before we move back to Sirach 47?
Yeah, I'll throw one precept on it.
Go ahead.
This is Sirach chapter 46 and verse 14. It says, "By the law of the Lord, he judged the congregation. By the law of the Lord, he judged the congregation, and the Lord had respect unto Jacob." So that's what we have to do. We have to judge our people by the laws of the Most High God, and the Most High God will appreciate that. We'll be blessed for that. Hey, our people will be blessed for that. That's all I got though. So we at Sirach.
Yes, sir. Malachi, you back? Kai, can you go to Sirach chapter 47 and start at 14 again?
Sirach 47 and 14.
Yes, sir.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 47 and 14. Yeah, it's a lot. It say, how wise wast thou in thy youth, as a flood filled with understanding.
We just read how he was filled with understanding as a flood. A flood means it's a rush, a wave, a mass amount. And that's what he was given, a mass amount of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We just read about that. Come on.
It say, thy soul covered the whole earth, and thou fillest it with dark parables.
What does it mean when it says his soul covered the whole earth? Solomon's soul didn't literally cover the whole earth, but his mindset covered the whole earth. And I'm gonna elaborate what I mean by that here in a little bit. Come on.
Thy name went far unto the islands, for thy peace thou was beloved. The countries marveled at thee for thy songs and proverbs and parables and interpretations.
All right, so Khan,
Appreciate.
go ahead.
I'll get it after you because you said you had some.
I was finna tell him to grab 1 Kings 4. Is that where you at?
Yes.
Go ahead then.
Scott.
Start 29, Baba John.
Okay, Khan. This is 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 29. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Haman, and Chalcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all the nations round about.
All right, so hold on. He just letting you know he's shitting on everybody else that's around him. You know? Damn, Ethan probably was a mighty ass man, mighty ass brother. You know? Letting him know, hey, Solomon, his wisdom excels the Egyptians' wisdom. You know, we ain't never heard that. And then you got Ethan over here. He kind of like, damn, you know, I went and heard Solomon. He's a wise brother. I couldn't even break down what he was saying. Then he went to Haman. Well, Haman, he a mighty man, but Solomon kind of better. Solomon kind of got a little bit more wisdom than Haman. And Chalcol and Darda, the sons of Mahal. The sons of Mahal were probably mighty brothers when it came to the scripts, when it came to wisdom, when it came to understanding damn herbs, when it came to understanding how animals are, when it came to understanding how to discern between good and they were probably mighty brothers. But none was like our King Solomon. None even came to comparison like King Solomon. And so much that it said that there shall be none that was like thee before, and there shall not be one like thee after. That's how hard Solomon went. When it came to this discernment, when it came to this wisdom, when it came to this knowledge, when it came to parables, understanding, dark sentences. You know, when I say dark sentences, I learned this from Naquam a long time ago. Dark sentences, when I came into the truth, I was like, damn, a dark sentence, that sounds evil. That sounds scary. I was like, what the hell is a dark sentence? It really just means something that's not shed light on. You know, if I give you a dark sentence, you may not understand it because there's no light upon it yet. Once you understand it, it's no longer a dark sentence. It's, oh, damn, okay, it's light upon it. Now I see it. Now I understand what that's talking about. But Solomon gave many dark sentences because many people did not understand what he was talking about. We can keep reading this First Kings.
Okay, Khan. I was at verse
32.
Khan. It says, and he spake 3,000 proverbs. 3,000 proverbs. And his songs were 1,005.
Come on.
And he spake of trees.
Uh-oh.
From the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts, and of fowl, and of creeping things, and fishes.
So this lets you know Solomon was speaking on everything. Look, when you go over here to the east lane, you're gonna have to deal with this kind of beast. And this kind of beast, you know, they nocturnal, which means they're gonna sleep during the day, but at nighttime, that's when they're gonna be active. So if you're gonna move through that land, you might want to move during the daytime. I wouldn't stay around at night. Solomon, we don't have a Google. They didn't have Google. So Solomon was giving out information like that. Okay, when
He
you
was
go
like
to the west,
Google.
hey, he was the Google, and it was
He was
all
the
right.
Google. Hey, and sometimes he'd give you the answer, but it take a few years before you can actually understand
it. Go ahead, right?
That's how you know it's a dark parable. It's a sentence. It's not it. In order for it to be light shone on it, it takes time. You got to go to sleep, wake up, do that 1,000 more times, and then all of a sudden it's gonna hit you. I'm like, damn, I get it now. I get it now.
Yeah,
That's when you start understanding what the king said.
for real.
You trying to figure out what he meant. Why did he say, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard"? And you meditating on it. You go to sleep.
You looking at ants for 3 months.
And then you start to see, like, damn, they be working hard. Then boom, it hits you, and you connect the dots, and you're like, damn.
Makes sense.
Hey, King Solomon, he spoke on animals. He always spoke about animals.
Mm-hmm.
He'd tell you to be like a coney. What does that mean? Read Proverbs chapter 30.
Right.
I believe it's in that chapter, and you'll see what he means.
He
So
said, huh?
Go ahead.
Just to make a quick quote, he said the lion, which is mightiest among animals, he don't turn his back away from any. He's mighty. And then in another verse, he'll say, but a live dog is better than a dead lion.
You gotta know.
Like, what the hell?
He said a live dog is better than a dead lion. That's wisdom right there.
You in the synagogue with your notepad, like, what does this mean?
Your scroll open, trying to get the breakdown.
For surely a dog is nothing, but a lion is the mightiest. Why is it better to be a dog?
He said because it is attached to the living.
Yeah.
Damn, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Bring it out, Ike.
He said, bring it out, Ike.
Hey, I'm gonna finish this Kings, and I'm gonna grab what I was grabbing in Wisdom of Solomon.
Okay.
It says, and there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. So you had people traveling from everywhere to come hear the wisdom of Solomon in person. To come hear his songs, his proverbs, to see how he ran his kingdom. Go ahead, King.
And that's exactly why I said, thy soul covered the whole earth. His proverbs, when you're a king and you go to hear a wise sentence, you take that back where your land is. Now everybody in different lands speaking about the wisdom of Solomon. That's what's going around town, the wisdom of Solomon around the whole earth. And that's how his soul or his mindset covered the whole earth. It's not talking about his actual spirit. It's his words. But go ahead, Salaki.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 is one of my favorite chapters. Honestly, it's a beautiful chapter, and I would love for y'all to just read this whole chapter and just to get into it. But I'm gonna just get the point that I wanted. So I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, "For he hath given me," the me in this verse is Solomon. So right now we're talking about Solomon. So God has given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely. So he's gonna name off the things that he has knowledge of, namely to know how the world was made. That's what he's starting off with. Solomon knows how the world was made. He had that breakdown. He had the understanding. He wasn't looking through a window glass and could kind of know. He knew it. He had the full breakdown. It says, and the operations of the elements. He understood the operation of elements. Water, fire, wind. You could even break it down even different. H2O, H3O2, zinc, copper, iron, magnesium. He understood if you put this element with this one, it'll make this, and it's good for this. He didn't need the damn, what do they call that? I forget it every time.
The
Periodic table.
There you go. I don't know. Slovakia. I don't. For real quick. I get confused on why they call it a periodic table. I'm not even gonna lie to you because I thought period is dealing with time periods, right? That's what I'm thinking. Like a periodic. Like okay, this happened periodically around here. I don't know. I just get confused by that word.
Bro, I don't know, bro. They just it's Esau. It makes sense to them. So it says the periodic table, also known as the periodic table of elements, is a tabular display of the chemical elements. It is widely used in chemistry, physics, and other science, and is generally seen as an icon of chemistry. So they talking about this as they breakdown. Solomon had this breakdown. He already knew about chemistry. He already understood physics. He already knew about all of this. Photosynthesis. He had the breakdown of atoms and electrons and protons and neutrons. Solomon had a better understanding than these Edomites. This is our people, bro. This is our forefather. He understood this better than anybody else on earth. And he got this understanding from the God, the Holy One, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. That's who we serve, and this is who we working for. So it's not like we just reading about some guy. No, this is literally your forefather.
Hey, Slovakia.
From the house of King David. Go ahead.
He could directly be your great grandfather. You know, Solomon dealt with many women. If you part of Judah, you got a good chance of being from Solomon's lineage.
Right.
Slovakia, that's how you.
Hey, from the house of Judah, out of the house of King David. Mm-hmm. Hey, can you grab me that precept about King David being it says the feeble? I don't want to spoil it.
Yep.
Okay.
This is Zechariah chapter 12 in verse 8. I'm gonna start at 7. Zechariah 12 and 7. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord was before them.
That's a hot precept. He said, I'm going to save the sense of Judah first, so the other tribes, for the other people don't magnify themselves against him. And also for the sake of King David. Hey, and the feeble, the feeble, the ones who are not mighty, the feeble, the frail bodies, all they got is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and they obey God, and they got an abundance of faith. Them men, he said, he's going to make them, and they're going to be like King David. And he said, and King David going to be like gods, are going to be gods. That's how hot it is, man. So it's real like that. Let's see. Did you have anything you want to add on to that before I keep reading?
No, sir.
Verse 18 says, Solomon knew the beginning, the ending, and the midst of times. So he knew the beginning, the middle, and the end of times. It says the alterations of the turning of the sun. Hey, this is a big chop to the damn nasty white man science. This is a big chop because they say that the sun stays still and we circle, we go around the sun. But this says the alteration of the turning of the sun. So this is acknowledging that the sun moves. You have to be a fool to not think that the sun is staying in one spot. You have to be, no, I would say, I'm not going to say fool. That's a little harsh. I'm going to say you've been indoctrinated. I'm going to say you've been, look, check this out. You've been compromised.
You been led astray, brother. The white man got your mind all messed up.
You've been compromised. It says, and the change of seasons. So he didn't, of course, we know that the seasons change. We know that. And we know that God wanted that way. But do we understand the sweet science behind it? Do we have the understanding and the breakdown behind it?
Hey, do we understand the spiritual aspect behind it? Real quick point, because Clement spoke about it. He said we already seen the resurrection. You know, a spring comes and everything is alive, and then winter, what happens? Everything dies, and then it's resurrected again. It's spiritual. Solomon understood this. But Slakia, go ahead.
That's hot. It says the circuits of years and the positions of stars. And man, it's a deeper meaning to this kind of stuff. The circuit of years, man, you literally have a circuit of years, the year of jubilees. That's important. You got every 7 years. You got the
medical year, yep.
The 50th year. Like, we have a circuit of years. Solomon had a deep understanding of these things. It says, and the position of stars. And you can understand certain things by understanding where the stars are positioned. Hey, just how during the daytime when the sun is up and you got different kinds of clouds, you got all kinds of different kind of clouds. But you can tell when you see that certain cloud that it's finna rain, that it's finna be this. Solomon could look at the stars and how they were positioned and tell what certain things were going to take place, what times we were living in. Okay, the stars are in this gate, this doom. Okay, boom, that must mean that this is, he could understand that kind of stuff. The Most High God's creations, as it shows his handiwork, and it shows how greatly he is to be praised, because it's an unlimited amount of knowledge out here. And bro, we barely even scratching the surface. Barely scratching the surface. This is only one small portion of the Most High God's wisdom. We got one small portion. We got the book of salvation. We don't even got all of the books.
It's the easy part.
This is the easy part. He gave this out and published it to the whole world.
It's pre-K.
This is literally training grounds to see if you're worthy to get the other wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that he's going to put on earth. I'm going to grab that, though. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 42. It says, the highest gave me understanding. The highest gave understanding unto 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, and at night they ate bread. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. And 40 days they wrote 204 books. So in 40 days they wrote 204 books. It says, and it came to pass, when the 40 days were fulfilled, that the highest spake, saying, the first that thou hast written, publish openly. So the first set of books that they have, publish it openly. Give it to everybody who wants it. It says that the worthy and the unworthy may read it. So the people who are worthy, they can read it. The people who are not worthy, they can still read this book. But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge. And I did so. So the other books, they are only for a certain group of people. And we don't have those books. Those are the people who showed themselves worthy, who had a good understanding of the first set of books. Who was worthy, man? Hey, the ones who feared the Most High God, the ones who served God, the ones who enjoyed wisdom, who understood her great experience. There's nothing more better than wisdom. There's nothing that you can compare to her. Money, merchandise, women, and nothing can compare to wisdom. Nothing. It says, the natures of living things or living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds. Hey, this is heavy, bro. He said he understands the nature of living creatures. This is before Google. This is before Animal Planet.
Nat Geo Wild.
This is before, what's that Crocky mate? What's his name?
Bro, I don't remember that nigga name.
Mate who got hit by
dirty Edomite.
Bro, this is before all of that. Solomon understood, okay, in this time of the year, the bears, they're going to be doing this. They're getting ready to hibernate because of this, that, and the third. He knows what, when the water freezes over for winter, he knows what the fishes do. He knows how they dive deeper in the water. They do this, they do that. They're preparing for this. He knows why birds do this. And he understands the natures of living creatures. He just understands it.
Yep.
He understands it. It says, and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds. He understood how a tornado could come to pass. He understood what you needed. You need heat. You need a little bit of rain. You need a little bit of this, that. And he'll tell you, look, man, he'll tell you a week before probably, man, it's probably going to be a tornado. It's probably going to be a dust storm. It says, and he understood the reasonings of men. So he understood why men did what they did. He understood why they thought how they thought. He understood why women are more subject to using, instead of logic, they'll use their emotions. He understood that on a greater level than we do. He could predict a man's movements to the T because he understood that. It was almost like he could read men's minds because he had a good understanding of how they thought. Just how I know how Aharon think because I spend so much time with him, and we talk about a lot of stuff. We just been around each other for years, even before the truth. So I understand how his mind works. Solomon, he had that on everybody.
Yep.
He can talk to you for 30 minutes and really understand who you are, who you're striving to be, who you're trying to be, who you're not. He could understand that. It says the diversities of plants and the virtues of roots. So he knew about the different herbs. He knew about the different roots. He knew if it had medicinal value. He knew how to make a concoction to where it can heal a man or heal a woman on whatever disease they had. He understood that. It says, and all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know. For wisdom, which is the worker of all things, taught me. So wisdom is in everything. Wisdom is in every single thing. When it comes to building a couch, wisdom is there. When it comes to building a house, wisdom is there. When it comes to even a language, wisdom is there. When it comes to interpretation, wisdom is there. When it comes to everything, wisdom has always been there. You have to learn how to do anything. When it comes to a baby, they need to learn those things. Wisdom is there. You got to learn how to eat. You got to learn how to hold your neck up. You got to learn how to sit upright. You got to learn everything. Wisdom has always been here, and it's in all things. So why would you want, how can you have, if wisdom is literally in all things and in everything, what could be more valuable than having wisdom? It says, for in her is an understanding spirit, holy, one only, manifold, subtle, lively, clear, undefiled, plain, not subject to hurt, loving the thing that is good, quick, which cannot be let it, ready to do good. And like, this chapter is so heavy, and I'm not going to just read the whole thing because for the sake of time, but Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 is a great chapter, so y'all should check that out. And I get with that.
Kind of great making understanding understood, if that's a sentence. You know what I'm saying? Good job, brother. That's all I'm saying. You doing good. You know what I'm saying?
We don't know what else to say, huh?
Sirach 47 and verse 18, it says, by the name of the Lord God, which is called the Lord God of Israel, thou didst gather gold as tin, and didst multiply silver as lead. So basically, he was a rich man. And we're going to stop at verse 18. because 19 through on down is pretty it's pretty thick. All right, it's a lot in there to extract. You know what I'm saying? So, Mahar, if you don't got nothing, I'm gonna grab the last two precepts. Well, of course you gonna grab your precept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Kind. This is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. And let us not be weary in well doing. Hold on. I did that wrong. Let me grab 1 Corinthians 15 and 58 before I grab that. It just fell off. I felt like I was in sin. You know what I'm saying? 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Now I'm going to grab Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Malachi, do you got a closing precept? You want to close out on?
Bring it out, Ike.
Let me get man. Y'all don't fuck with this. All right, this the book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 1. It say, my son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days, long life, and peace shall they add to thee.
That's a high precept. Officer Mahar's on you.
All right, Khan. Hey, that was a beautiful, beautiful lesson. I'm glad y'all could make it. I know we haven't been on our main channel. If you're not subscribed to these channels, subscribe to them, because man, we getting strikes from things we did, from videos we did years ago. So they really got it out for us. So Lord willing, if y'all subscribe to these channels, we can keep putting out content and keep doing the work, and everybody can still eat. So we help us build up these channels, you know, share these channels, Baba Kashai, to really be helpful. Y'all don't know how helpful that really is. You never know. You never know who might see it. They might really need it. They might not even know about the truth yet, but that could be the spark. Seeing a video like this could be the start to bringing somebody in the truth. And next thing you know, you just for you sharing it, you get a piece of that reward because you did some of that work. You got that. You helped be a part of somebody receive the truth. So the last precept being Sirach 43 and 30, it says, when you glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength and be not weary, because you can never go far enough. And with that, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, Ashar Shabbat, Shalom.
Shalom.